everybody, welcome to the Fair-Haired Trilogy. I'm Lindsay.
I'm Ashley.
And I'm Callie.
And today we're going to be talking about Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo.
So here's the summary on the back of the book. Kaz Brecker and his crew have just pulled off a heist so daring, even they didn't think they'd survive. But instead of divvying up a fat reward, they are right back to fighting for their lives. Double-crossed and badly weakened, the crew is low on resources, allies, and hope. As powerful forces from around the world descend on Ketterdam to root out the secrets of the dangerous drug known as Ketterdam, old rivals and new enemies emerge to challenge Kaz's cunning and test the team's fragile loyalties. Jesper tapped his fingers restlessly. Has anyone noticed this whole city is looking for us, mad at us, or wants to kill us? So, said Kaz, well, usually it's just half the city. A war will be waged on the city's dark and twisting streets, a battle for revenge and redemption that will decide the fate of the Grisha world. Spoilers after this point.
That's good.
Okay, so what do you guys think?
I loved it. I thought it was very similar to Six of Crows in a lot of ways.
I'm sad that it's a duology.
I know.
I was sad that it was a duology, but I liked because I was just starting to get used to it. Like when something would happen, I would think like, oh, I wonder, like how they're gonna get out of it. Because Kaz was always just like one step ahead of everybody.
Yeah. She did a really good job of like bringing you to a moment where you thought, oh my gosh, there's no way they could get out of this.
Right.
And then something crazy that still made sense would happen to get out of it. So that was really cool.
It was like possible. It was like very far-fetched, but like it was still possible.
Right.
And that was like one of the things that they had thought of.
Yeah.
I loved that. Especially that when Wyland got kidnapped.
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome when Kaz was like, there was just no way to get into this church except to kidnap him. So
yeah.
I
like how Kaz did something secretive. And then like we didn't know it until he was just like, oh yeah, planned that too. Had some insurance or whatever,
Yeah. I love that. A thief sometimes leaves things behind.
Yeah.
And its art is so good, and these maps are just great.
I know.
This is probably, I love this map.
I referred to it a lot.
I did too. I studied it before I read too.
Yeah, I love the icons.
That was so helpful. I wonder like who draws the maps in these books, like who the illustrator is. Oh, it's right here. Keith Thompson.
You did good, Keith. I wonder if he's done any of the other ones that we know of.
I don't know. That's a
check
really
now.
good idea.
Should go back and check
to
some
see
of
if
them.
he's like, like the guy for map drawings.
Maybe he is.
Yeah, I really liked it. I had a better grasp on, like Grisha and that kind of thing, which I really liked, and the way things were done in like Ketterdam.
Yeah, definitely after you have the first one, learning all of the people and the places and the culture, you have kind of a footing to go into this book, and it was a really good. I like, duologies have such a great setup where it's almost like I feel like it's one full story broken up into two parts. Going into the second one, I was super excited because I felt like I was like, I gotta figure out. And in Nej, the first part was like, okay, how are they gonna get back in Nej? Because she's gotta come back.
I thought that when they were like out in the streets inviting people, but it really was to dress up as that character. I thought that they were inviting people to go to the theater, the abandoned theater, for like a play, and then it would have been like so crowded that they could have gotten her out. That's like what I thought they were gonna do. But then what they did was, of course, more genius. It was like all those people dressed up.
Yeah.
It was awesome. I loved it. I really thought Wyland was gonna betray him. I wrote that two different times.
But he was pretty hardcore.
It's because of Jesper. I think that Jesper's what kept him there.
I think also that he finally got his family, like a real family, and like how could you ever go back to someone who hated you so much?
Yeah. And his mom being alive. That was.
Didn't you?
Yeah, I guess that it was like one of the parts when.
I'm sorry, I just saw one of your notes and it says, okay, I liked Matthias.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why. He says like there's too much suffering sometimes when the wind blows right, you can hear him laughing and shrieking. And I was like, oh, it's a mental asylum.
Ooh.
That's what I thought. Because, like, you know, a lot of people, but up until, like, the part where you see, like, where they say, oh, this is not a cemetery, like, you probably would think that they thought it was, like, haunted or something, you know?
Yeah.
Like, the people that live around there. Yeah. I like Matthias.
What part made you write that?
I liked that he loved Nina, but he wanted to stay, like, he was raised a certain way, and he wanted to carry on with that. And this is what I think, and I love Nina, but if Nina were a man, Matthias was a girl, the way that she was pushing herself on him when he was blatantly like, no, this is not what I want to do, this is not the way that I want to do things, we would have thought she was a creep. And I think that he was pious, and he didn't want to do anything unseemly, and I feel like she kind of forced him to do it. And I did not like that. I liked him. That made me like him, that he really tried to stick to his guns. I feel like she kind of pressured him a little bit too much. It made me, that was like the only time where I didn't like her. Because like if it would have been the other way around, I would have been like, oh, he is such a creep. He is such a loser.
I do think that there are times where that's a little bit of a double standard, because some characters are like super pushy when they're, you know, and if it's like a girl, it's like, oh, no big deal, but then the second it's a guy, it's like,
right. And I think this is one of those situations, and I did not like her in that moment, because he really was like, I want to court you, and I want to do this right, and this is not the way that we did things, like where I'm from.
But then you say, I would have, but now it's different. Then you say, like, back in my country, I would have done this, this, and this, but insinuating, like, but I can't, so let's just move forward.
Yeah, like, I mean, he gave in.
Yeah.
He eventually gave in because she wouldn't stop.
Well, and I think in that scene...
But it made me like him.
That was, like, the first kiss scene, right? Where they get walked in on?
Yes.
So, I think in the scene, he was saying to her, like, I'm trying to find the right way to do this.
Right.
Please don't pressure me. And she was, you know...
still going at it.
Because that's what he said. He was like, well, in my country, this is how it would have been, so I'm trying to find what would be equal to that in this situation. But I'm still trying to figure it out, because obviously I don't know.
Because he had, like, a plan.
Yeah, he had, like, he said he had, like, a whole thing that he was going to do, and...
He said, so we would have, you know, we would have been chaperoned. I would have dined with your family at least 3 times before we were ever left alone together. I would have bought you gifts. I would have bought you winter roses, a silver comb for your hair, apple cakes. Our first kiss would have been in a sunlight wood or under a starry sky after a village dance, not in a tomb or some dank basement with guards at the door. He just wanted the best for her. And she wouldn't let him have it. She would not stop. And just be like, okay, because every single thing he said, she'd be like, but we're not there. We're not this, but we're not that. And if it would have been a guy, I would have hated him. I'm like, quit.
But if they'd waited, he would have died and they never would have kissed.
Right. But I'm just saying, that's actually shocking coming from you, because this is like how you want your family to be.
It is. I'm really like that.
But Ashley is always...
But this made me like him.
Yeah.
This scene.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Ashley has well, maybe you should explain it, because you know what I'm about to say.
I don't know what you're about to say, actually.
The thing that you always have about feeling like there needs to be some sort of physical connection for the relationship.
I am like this.
She feels like there has to be at least... Well, go ahead. I don't want to speak for you.
I feel like there is no relationship unless you sealed it somehow with the physical.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, I've always felt that, but like if you like, you know, if they were like love interests but they never kissed, never hugged, never held hands, I would have been like, what are you doing? You don't really love each other.
Which is what I thought the last book. I was like, why are they not making a move? And then he explained it. And I was like, gotcha. He's not saying that he didn't ever want to kiss her. He's saying he didn't want to kiss her when there's like a guard standing right there.
But he didn't kiss her.
He did. They give in.
Oh yeah. Well, okay, that's good.
Because she makes him. She basically like pressures him into it to the point where, and it's like, that's not fair. That's not fair. It's not right. It's a double standard.
I probably would have pressured him if I was Nina.
I don't know what to say.
You're a lot more like Nina than Callie is.
I am. I don't know. I'd be like seize the day. Like we are literally, we could die any second. And you're worried.
She does.
And you're worried about kissing me in a field with the sunrise. Kiss me now, because that means something versus not. You know what I mean?
But it means something to you.
Yeah.
You know. So, but that is the moment that I really liked him. And I was like, okay, I understand. I understood. Like, I still wanted them to kiss and, like, have their moment, but I understood where he was coming from then.
Yeah. And then the way that the part at the end where he has the gunshot wound and he comes up to her and he kisses her, she's like, what's going on?
I know.
And then she was like, oh no, and he like collapses on her.
I know.
I was like,
You never kissed me first.
no. Like, did you want him, like out of all of them, was he the one that you thought was gonna die?
Yeah. I either thought him or Jasper was gonna go.
I so would have thought Jasper.
I thought it was gonna be Kaz.
Oh, see, that's...
I thought it was gonna be Kaz.
I never thought Kaz, because I'm like, Kaz is like the main one, you know, like the story has to continue with him.
But then he was done.
But I
he
guess...
was finished. That's what I thought about.
Right.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from.
I thought that Kaz was, because this was his gang, I thought he was gonna go down for them somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was his people, you know?
Since it's like over after
Right.
everything with Pekka Rollins, his story could kind of come to a close. But
Right.
it's like so much more, you know, that he could do, that he wants to do, so.
I feel like if Kaz died, though, the whole gang would fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
I really do.
So did him and Inej end up together? Is that the vibe y'all got?
I loved that scene where he's replacing her bandages.
That was
I
probably
know.
one of my favorites.
I know.
Wow.
I know.
What a scene.
I think I actually tabbed.
And another thing, she goes back and she talks about the beginning of him using the gloves, which I thought was great that we got to, like, when he was like, oh, let me, like, it's just a temporary thing, let me put them on. And then he was like, okay, this is becoming a crutch, let me try to take them off. And he, like, freaks out, and that whole backstory I love. Just that it was really awesome to see his backstory, because I feel like it really added to his character and understanding who he is. You know, because those gloves are such an iconic big part of his character. So for her to go back and, like, talk about the beginning of it and the struggles he's had with it was really cool.
I loved it then when he says my tie's straight.
Yeah.
Right before he met her parents.
Yeah.
I loved that.
That was really cute.
I loved this quote. I think it's my favorite one in the book. Wyland summoned every bit of bravado he'd learned from Nina, the will he'd learned from Matthias, the focus he'd studied in Kaz, the courage he'd learned from Inej, and the wild, reckless hope he'd learned from Jesper. When he was, like, talking about, like, how when they kidnapped him. And then he goes on to just be honest and say that I wasn't any of those people.
Yeah.
You know?
I was Wyland, but he was perfect for that job.
Yeah.
You know?
Because, like, and here's the thing is, like, Kaz would have never put him in the position to where if he was kidnapped, like, and told the whole story, like, it wouldn't have affected the plan all the way. Like, Kaz would have never done that. That's why he didn't tell everybody everything. I liked his backstory, too, like, when his dad, like, actually sent people to kill him and stuff, and then and then, like, we learned his, like, story too, like what he did and in the vats of, like, the fumes and stuff at the tannery. That was crazy.
So what was your favorite backstory?
Ooh. Do you have one?
I'd probably have to say Kaz.
I thought his was most interesting, but I think I really liked I don't know, I really liked Inej's, because I really liked the fact that she was like a tightrope walker. I loved that.
That was really cool.
Really, and she, like, overcame a lot of things, and then
Yeah.
she let it go.
Yeah, that part in her backstory where the man comes to the menagerie.
Yeah,
And she was talking about all the men that have done terrible things to her and all the clients that have been really rough, and then she was like, but the worst one of all was that one who knew me back then, you know? It's like, oh, I get it, Inej. Like, her character was so cool. So awesome.
And then I liked how Kaz used his favor with the king
Mm-hmm.
to find him, when, like, that could have been, like, a favor.
For
He could have
personal
asked,
gain.
he could have asked for anything.
Yeah.
You know, I loved that Wyland got everything in the
I
end.
know.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
I really wanted to see him read, though. I wanted to see
That's what
that
Jasper is for, though.
that to come to an
Jasper.
end.
He didn't memorize it though, didn't he? Like, he memorized what he read, as in
I think
with the music.
yeah, but what? Are these done? There's no more, right?
Yeah, I think this is it. for this group of people.
Okay.
I think that maybe there'll be, maybe like in King of Scars, I wonder if it will talk about King Nikolai coming and meeting with Cass. Or maybe it ends at that point or something like that. So then we see like one more perspective. That'd be cool.
That would be cool.
Or maybe in those books, you like see the characters in that story in the future.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
In the future.
Or like it ends with he was about to go on a trip to go, but then that wouldn't resolve anything. I don't know what King of Scars, like if it's before his coronation to his coronation, because they're still poor. They're still like a war-torn country in this book. So I'm like, I don't know.
I think I read the back of it, and I think that it's when he's king and he like becomes a monster or something. Like he becomes this like creature thing.
Ooh,
yeah, like because like you see it like something, I don't even know. I just read the back of it, but something happens where he's like cursed and he becomes a monster. So I think it's after. Like I do think it's a possibility we could see the future of these characters in his story.
That would be so cool.
If she decides to put them all together, which I mean they're all still there, so it's a possibility.
Because he's the king of Ravkan.
I think so.
Is that where he's the king? Because they were all talking about going and visiting. Literally, they were like, well, we can start with Ravkan. We can do this in Ravkan, yeah.
But isn't Nina in the ice court trying to help the Druskell brothers?
I think she promised that she would eventually go, but I think she went to
just bury Matthias. I didn't think she
up
was
north.
Yeah.
Do you think that she is gonna like fall in love with another Fjorzen?
No,
you
I
really
think
don't?
she'll be single.
Really?
I think she's gonna stay. I mean, she might like have relationships, but I think that as far as like true love, she'll. And I wonder if Queen of Mourning will be a duology because it's King of Scars, and then she called herself the Queen of Mourning.
Ooh.
Because she can raise the people to from the dead and stuff. And I wonder if it'll talk about like her trip and up north, and then like her like trying to rescue people like that. I would love that.
Do you think that they're gonna make more Judah Purim since Kuwei is still alive?
I think they'll make a cure.
Cure.
I think that they'll find a cure because the Shu were trying to find a cure. Like they were. That's like, isn't that why they wanted him? Doesn't the Shu get QI? Or did he go to Ravkan?
He went to,
to blend in and be.
Gotcha.
So he's kind of like released.
Yeah.
Much.
But they said that somebody else will inevitably figure out.
Yeah, I think he was thinking that.
And then QA will be there for an antidote. I thought they were gonna kill him. For real.
I did too.
I was like, yeah, that's okay. Nobody really liked QA.
Yeah.
Did you like QA?
No, it made me mad that he tricked Jesper.
Yeah, I was like...
Yeah, it was shady. I didn't like that.
Jesper was my favorite backstory. I loved On the Farm. That like got me.
Awesome.
That got me. But can I read this?
Yeah.
This is Jesper's perspective. I can't even remember what's before it, but this is the paragraph that I want to talk about. But even as Jesper had the thought, he knew it could never be enough. He could never go back to that life. He hadn't been built for it. Maybe if his mother had lived, she would have taught him how to channel. She would have taught him to channel his restlessness. Maybe she would have shown him how to use his power instead of hiding it. Maybe he'd have gone to Ravka to be a soldier for the crown, or maybe he would have ended up right here anyway. So kind of he was just talking about like, well, maybe if this had happened and I'd be doing this, maybe this, and then I'd be doing this, but maybe despite everything, I would have been right here anyway. And I like believe that, like no matter what has happened, I am right where I am supposed to be. Like yeah, somebody else could have come into my life or whatever, but I still would have been right here, you know?
Yeah, and people don't look at life like that.
Yeah, I don't think they do.
I think they look at like what could have been or like the things that they had done and stuff, but like people rarely think like, oh well, maybe I just would have been like still here.
Yeah.
I thought Cass had a lot of sense of humor in this one.
Really?
I think he had like a little bit more, like he was like more comfortable with them because he like developed into the boss. Like he was always the boss, but like I think he grew into actually being like the boss of the like that particular gang.
Yeah.
And he had his like top-notch people.
Oh man, they were the best.
They were, and that's he says that to, I think, King Nikolai. He says, you know, he didn't want to tell him how good they were, or like all their skills, because then, you know, he wanted to keep it to himself. But I also love that King Nikolai had a alter ego, and he said that he had it since he was little.
Yeah.
That was genius to start that when you're little, because then it's always like, even if he was like, oh, I have a friend, or I met this, you know, like, or they're gonna work for me one day, like, and it's just a lie.
Yeah.
You know, the cats are so smart. I cannot wait for the show to come out. It's gonna be gross.
I know.
The show is going to be gross.
I wonder how they'll do it. Like, there's so many different directions you could take the show in.
Right, and like, are they gonna show like Kaz floating to the city on his brother's dead body? They probably would show that.
That's not the goriest part for me.
No, but like, I also don't want to hear his cane like hitting anyone.
Yeah,
I hate
crunching.
Yeah, I hate when like people throw punches in shows. Like, I cannot do it. But yeah, like anything like that, it's just gonna be gross.
It's gonna be a very physical show.
Well, and she was very plot heavy. I feel like the characters were great, but there was also a lot of like scaling towers and like you know, like a lot of action.
It will make a great
Yes.
TV show. That's for sure. Where did you see? I just saw a picture over here. She is beautiful.
No.
The Six of Crows Duology. Yeah.
It says she lives and writes in Hollywood, where she can occasionally be heard singing with her band. She's so cool. She went to Yale.
Oh wow. And she was born in Jerusalem.
Crazy.
So cool.
Oh, listen to this. Was it hard to say goodbye to Ketterdam? It's never really goodbye, is it? That's what she said. Y'all, that was such a good answer. Never really goodbye, is it? I like a certain amount of mystery at the end of my stories, places where readers can fill in the blanks, or I can return when the time is right. Sometimes I leave those spaces because I already have a plan for the character in mind. Wow. Oh my goodness, that was the case for
Nina Zenik at the end of Crooked Kingdom.
Queen of Mourning. I bet that's going to be a book. What did you think about the end and it being Pekka Rowland's point of view?
So I have a little bit of a theory about that.
Okay.
So when Inej was telling about how you can have a shadow and it's the worst part of who you are.
Action and echo.
Yeah, and how she thought that Dunyasha could have been her shadow, but then she ultimately killed her, right? But Dunyasha was like, is that how you say her name?
Dunyasha. There's something in the background here, but we'll see.
So anyway, she was like, she said something, Inej was like, you're killing. You can't be all like this mercenary, this monk, this like good person when you're killing. And she said that everybody who I spill blood from deserves it, right? And then Inej ended up killing Dunyasha. Okay, so
yeah, Dunyasha.
Good
job.
So I think that Inej could have possibly been Dunyasha's shadow, because she said something to Kaz at the end, and she was like, you know, you don't have to be a good man, but you can be what the barrel needs, and you can go after all of these people who are selling other people and blah blah blah. Like, yeah, you're still a criminal, but you're doing it justly. Pretty much is what she said, right? Yeah. And so then she went to Pekka Rollins and did that justly. So I think that she took that and she just became like,
that's a good theory.
You know what I mean?
I liked that it I was a little disappointed when it ended on his point of view.
Really?
Yeah, but I think that it meant that he quit.
Yeah, he went running.
He ran, right? Like, he wasn't going back. And I liked that he was haunted by Kaz's brother's name. And he'll never know it. Because there's only like 5 people, 6, 7 people in the world that know it.
Hey guys, we hope that you loved our discussion on Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. We hope that you guys will like and subscribe and share with your friends. And before you go, don't forget to drop a comment on what you guys thought about Crooked Kingdom. And we'd love to hear from you. See you in the next video. Bye!
Bye!